This person is a little advice from because I think most of us work in obviously working as creatives in some way, shape, or form. So give some advice on how to find a creative job when you're not an artist, but alas, more of a writer and a very amateur actor. And there's a little bit of background here. This person lives in a very rural area. They were working for Apple as tech support until about a month ago. When I was terminated due to absences from a chronic health condition, normally such absences would be protected by FMLA laws, but one needs their doctor fill out the paperwork. And there's an awful lot here. And so they're trying to pay bills. They don't really have much savings. They're trying to see, can I turn some of these other, some of these skills I have where I write and where I'm an amateur actor into a way to make money as opposed to trying to go back and getting another tech support job working somewhere else. But also making that work from a very rural area. In my case, I started doing improv as a fun thing with my friends and did that for about 14 years or so, I guess, working like anime images and stuff, and we weren't getting paid in the way that would have supported anyone, because that's really not, when you're doing it for fun, you're not getting paid to support yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and like you had other like career aspirations other than improv, right? That wasn't the thing you were like seeking out to do, to like as a career choice. Like for me, musical theater was a career choice. Like it didn't start off as like a fun thing I wanted to do with my friends, like to like get away from my other, other things in my life. It was like, I was like, this is what I want to do, so I went to school for it and like started really early and devoted a lot of hours and time and money into this career, and it's starting to only pay off now. It's been probably like 8 years since I graduated from my diploma program, and even then I still have to, I just started a secondary job to like in the in between, because my next contract's not until May, and so that stuff like you have to have something else in order to do the thing. And especially when you're living in a rural like part of the city, that's even more difficult. I even find like being in Vancouver, which is a hub, like I still have to travel all over the country to do what I do. Maybe being a writer would be different. Like Andy, you've been writing a book.
Right, but that may not make me any money ever. But there's ways to make money writing if you have an internet connection. The people I know like website, if you're a humor writer, crack.com is always all about write for us, we'll give you money if we like it. So maybe there's some money to be had there.
Because there's no money to be had what I'm doing.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Patreon might be a source of revenue if you can cultivate a community.
Yeah, if you can market yourself.
Yeah.
And definitely like if you're thinking about, well, I want to write, or I want to do acting, or I want to do that kind of thing. If you also enjoy playing video games, obviously Twitch is not a bad way to kind of get yourself out there. It's hard to get noticed, but it is possible to say to people, hey, I've started doing this, and make a regular schedule and do those kind of things. And it doesn't have to be video games. You could start crafting, or you could be doing IRL streams, or you could be doing social leading, or you can do all those kind of things. If you're good at entertaining people, or you're good at keeping people company and that kind of stuff, you might be just what people are looking for to tune in and do that. Getting discovered is probably the hardest part. I think anybody who does anything creatively, generally, like Andy, you're writing your novel because you've come off of doing a lot of acting jobs, and you're like, I am able to support myself during this period of time. And so if you're in a position where you're not financially stable for a brief period of time, that's rough. If there's a way for you to get social assistance, I hope you can do that. But yeah, changing it over, like when I was living in Olds, which was 7,000 people at the time, and I'd only been working at the library there for like and that was not anything that was going to make me money for the long run. That was essentially, this is something to kind of not have to spend all the money that I currently had in savings. When I came home from Desert Bus 5, I said to Heather, I'm like, how do you feel about moving to Victoria when you're done your diploma at the college here? And she's like, maybe. And I'm like, we have to go to Victoria. You have to see what it's like. Maybe we have to do this. And so we did that. and she was like, okay, I'm on board, I think we do this kind of thing. And if it wasn't for coming out to here and having already worked with Loading Ready Run and seeing that there's some opportunity to do that, and then but also for me, I had to find jobs. I'm still looking for work outside of Loading Ready Run because I want to do that as well. That's just really tough. That's really hard. And this work is not work that can support a lot of people, despite the size of our Patreon and despite the size of our Twitch channel and everything else. It doesn't support a lot of people full time. It is a thing that supports people, a few people full time, and other people as a part-time venture. And you have to find, side hustles constantly
and hustle hard.
Yeah,
it's like a never-ending, just like the hustle game. Like you just don't stop, and like there's no waffling, and there's no procrastination. You just have to keep going at it and going really hard.
And as an actor, if you're looking to get into theater or film, and not the internet is crazy. We're doing this from Victoria, BC. It's not exactly an entertainment hub. It's next to Vancouver, but and so this is incredible. You got a wonderful, talented bunch of people with an internet connection. You can do something like Loading Ready Run. But if you're looking to get into the film industry or the theater, you have to go to a theater or film city.
You have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to write your own shows and put them up in your small town and get a regular amount of people coming, but that seems very hard.
It won't be for a profit.
It won't be, yeah.
Like, Mark Meir is my favorite example, because I bring that up because everybody now is like, oh yeah, Commander Shepard. I know Mark Meir, right? I know his voice. Mark Meir has been acting in Edmonton, Alberta for years. He won the Canadian Improv Championships back-to-back with his partner Donovan Workin, and he is exceptionally good at what he does. But he doesn't do improv for a living, obviously. He also does voice acting, and he also does other stage work as well. I believe he's writing. I believe he's made small films and stuff. And it's like, he does all this stuff because that's how you make a living. He's able to keep living in Edmonton to do it. But yeah, anyone with larger aspirations, like the person from Edmonton, Nathan Fillion,
I was just gonna say,
you go to LA, right? Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but that's what happens.
And until you hit it big and are consistently booking things, or consistently being asked to be a part of things that involve lots of money, then yeah, it's a sort of like, what was I gonna say? I sort of lost my train of thought there for a second. No, I lost it.
Oh yeah.
Right. I lost it.
Yeah. So find people who can help you and support you. If you have family or whatever, try to see if you can rely on them. Rely on friends if they're willing to let you rely on them. And recover as best you can, and see if you can't make that push forward.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
As someone who went independent last year and built a business, it's every time I get a new case, the first thing I do is I have 2 listservs I subscribe to. I spam them with questions like, I'm working on this thing, what do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm constantly on the phone. I buy a lot of people lunch in order to just sit down and talk with them for as long as I can about everything I can do.
Finding good mentors.
And so much of it is I just need to bounce a theory off you, or I just need to run this by you. Am I doing this right? Am I on the right track? And that is so valuable in any profession.
They'll have so much more insight than you would at that time.
Like the idea of the single artist, or the single scientist, or the single professional, like the lone genius, generally doesn't exist. Most things are collaborative.
The human experience is a collaborative endeavor.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why the Nobel Prize is being kind of justly criticized as being kind of a flawed idea. Because it's awarded to 3 people, typically, for 1 contribution, and that's not the way science works, right? Yeah, so asking for help and collaborating with people is critical. It's not just it's not just reaching out to find support. It's getting alternate perspectives on things.
Fresh ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a lot of people didn't make their living making art.
No.
Unfortunately,
Well,
They did other
it's
things.
hard.
And you could try to find a job that allows you not to do it in the job, but the constraints of the job are such that you have the time and the energy to actually do the creative things that you love.
Right.
Every actor I know has 2 or 3 different projects on the go. Like, it's just a constant sort of stream.
That one of the questions that is often asked when you're making small talk with other actors, they say, do you have a Joe job? Just because most people do. And you have to do other things, and it's sad that that's the reality, but you usually have to do that. You can get lucky. I've been incredibly lucky, but I think I may be in for a little bit of a dry spell acting wise, so I'm trying to live off my savings and things, and and writing a book is great for that because you stay in and you eat in and you don't go out and do things. So writing a book is great for that. You're gonna have, while you're doing it, while you're building a career, while you're making connections, while you're doing all that, you have to find a Joe job. But that doesn't mean you have to suffer incredibly. Find something you can stand to do. That's not going to kill you emotionally. And you can still eat and pay rent. That's really important for your mental health.
Yeah, and there are Joe jobs out there that can support you that aren't going to, suck your soul dry. You know, there are things out there that are enjoyable, but that might not be your passion.